Let's go ahead and press on. Up next, we have KioWare demoing their KioTouch solution out of Pennsylvania.
System Software, a company based in York, Pennsylvania. KioWare is the foundation on which kiosk system software applications are built. There are over 14,000 businesses and organizations in over 130 countries worldwide, 400 of those being banks, credit unions, and other financial institutions in the United States. Your customers are placing a higher value on personal hygiene and cleanliness, and they're hesitating to use your self-service kiosks for the fear of spreading bacteria. KioTouch is KioWare's answer to the growing need for a touchless kiosk interface. KioTouch is integrated into KioWare, but it is a separate product and can be integrated into any kiosk application capable of talking to a web service, for instance, the cloud. But what is KioTouch? It's a web service that provides a browser-based touchpad-style mouse on the end user's mobile device that allows them to interface with your kiosk. Control functions such as swiping, scrolling, click gestures, as well as entering text into a text box can all be done through KioTouch. You may be asking yourself, how does KioTouch work to get my customers to use my kiosks without hesitation? Rather than explain the inner workings of KioTouch, why don't we just see it in action? Here you'll see our demo app. This is modeled after a morning breakfast operation. We call it Grab and Go. Now keep in mind, just because we're doing a morning breakfast operation, KioTouch goes beyond that and can be used within the financial institution as well. So you'll see here on the Attract screen, we have a little reminder that tells us the kiosk was last cleaned 3.1 days ago. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to touch a kiosk that hasn't been cleaned in over 3 days. That doesn't sound like a good time. So that's where this little QR code comes in. This little QR code is what your end user is going to scan to interact with your kiosk through KioTouch. So what they'll do is they will bring their mobile device up in front of the screen and they'll scan the QR code, which will then generate a URL. They'll go ahead and click on that. It'll bring up their phone's browser, and then their phone's browser will load in a touchpad style mouse. Now you'll see here, when I drag my thumb across the touchpad, it moves the cursor on the kiosk as well. So it's very easy to move it around. Works just like you would if you were scrolling through your phone. So let's go ahead, see this in action. We'll place our order. We're going to go up and we're going to get some fruit for breakfast. We're trying to be healthy, lose a little weight. So we'll go ahead and hover our mouse cursor over top of the fruit menu. And we'll go ahead and tap it to open up the options that we have. Now keep in mind, we've just opened the fruit menu without touching the kiosk physically. We're doing it all through our phone. So we'll go ahead and, you know what, banana sounds pretty good this morning. And you know what, let's go back to the fruit menu and let's also get an orange. Okay, we want something to drink. So since we have fruit, we'll go ahead and opt for water. And let's do a 16-ounce bottle of purified water. And our friend called us before work. They have a sweet tooth and they'd really like something for breakfast. They said that they're really in the mood for a peanut butter donut. So again, we'll swipe over, click on the donuts menu by tapping on the screen. And again, we haven't touched the kiosk a single time. So they want a peanut butter donut. We'll go ahead and tap on it. And that adds it to our cart. So you see here, we've added 4 items to our cart and we have not touched the kiosk a single time. It's all been through our end device, our mobile device here. So we'll go ahead, we'll place the order for $6.74. We'll hover and then tap. And we'll swipe up here. You'll see we have a summary of our order, the breakdown of the cost and the taxes. But at the bottom here, we have the option to add a name to the order. So if I hover my cursor over top of that and then tap, you'll see the cursor starts to blink. And more importantly, you'll see there's a virtual keyboard that popped up on our mobile device. This works just like it would if you were sending an email or a text message. All you do is you just tap on the keys on the virtual keyboard to enter your text. So we'll enter my name, Chris, and then when I'm done, I'll click the X. And you'll see here on the kiosk that we have entered my name into the text field. So we're ready to go ahead and pay for the order. So I'm going to come down here and click the card swipe button that will simulate us paying for our order. And you'll see our card has been billed for $6.74. Now I'm going to tap start over here in a moment. I want you to pay attention to what happens because this is really neat. It's going to simulate the end of session. So go ahead, swipe up, and then tap. The kiosk goes back to the attract screen with a new QR code, and I want you to really check this out. This is our website. This is what we call end of session content. So we configured this through KioTouch to pop up after the session is over for the user. You can do this too, and you can make it any content that you like. You just have to configure it through KioTouch. It can be a website, it can be an app download page, it can be a newsletter sign up, really anything you'd like the user to see after they're done with their session on your kiosk. What's neat about this from a marketing perspective is you have this user's attention well after they've walked away from the kiosk, and because they can look at this content after they're done using the kiosk, it doesn't hold up the people waiting in line to use the kiosk. They can start a new session and it will be uninterrupted by the end of session content. Your customers are hesitating to use your self-service kiosks. You want to encourage them to use the kiosks in your facility, but what does that look like logistically with keeping their health and safety concerns in mind? KioTouch is easy to implement. KioTouch requires no additional hardware with your kiosk and does not require the end user download an application to their mobile device. As long as the kiosk and the end user's mobile device are connected to the internet and the mobile device is able to scan QR codes, KioTouch can be used. KioTouch is also secure. No apps need installed on the end user's device, and the only information transmitted are mouse gestures and keystrokes. KioTouch uses very little data, meaning less bandwidth is used, making latency a non-factor. It's easy to use for your customer as well. As you saw in the demo, we interface with the kiosk just as we would normally, less the fact we are using our mobile device. It's the exact same experience. KioTouch's goal is to be an easy, quick, and safe alternative to your end users touching your kiosk's touchscreen surface. KioTouch is a touchless solution. It's purely software. No hardware retrofit is required. It's designed to empower the end user through their mobile device. It's a web service, so it's easy to add to any application, and it's secure. There's no apps installed on the end user's device, and it's just a browser session.
Excellent. Thanks, Chris. That's really great. So I've got a couple questions for you, if you don't mind. I think the first one, probably one on a lot of people's minds right now. Now, I'm a big fan of bagels and donuts, but let's talk about financial institutions. Is KioTouch secure for use at a financial institution?
It is. It's very secure for a financial institution. KioTouch communications are made via encrypted SSL. Remember, only keystrokes and mouse gestures are transmitted through KioTouch, and nothing is installed on the user's mobile device. No information is transmitted or stored on the mobile device. There are no cookies written to the end user's mobile device. No information from that mobile device is collected. Each user is anonymous from KioTouch's perspective. Plus, KioTouch can kill the session at any point, as well as the end user by closing their browser, and the kiosk itself can also end the KioTouch session.
Okay, cool. So my next question along the same kind of lines, I mean, obviously financial institutions need to be really careful about how they keep their data, and it usually needs to be kept in country. Can KioTouch do that for banks who are outside the U.S.?
Yes, KioTouch web services are currently in the United States, but they're readily scaled and can be deployed wherever it's needed. It can stay in country if that is necessary.
Okay, cool. So my next one, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but what kinds of data and bandwidth are we talking about here that KioTouch needs in order to deliver this?
KioTouch doesn't require a lot of bandwidth or data. It's actually transmitting just keystrokes and mouse gestures, so it's very low bandwidth, and again, that makes latency almost a non-factor.
Yeah, no, it certainly looked smooth as you were going through it. And then I think last question that I'm sure is going to be on a couple of people's minds as they're watching this, how easy is it to demo KioTouch at the virtual booth that you guys have coming up? I'm sure people are going to want to come and take a look.
Sure. Yeah, KioTouch is actually very easily demoable. All they have to do is come to our virtual booth here at Finovate, and they can actually scan the QR code and take full control of our computer. Also, remember that we do have test licenses available that are free, so if anybody wants to try KioTouch before buying it, they're welcome to do that as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. That's all my questions.
I appreciate your questions. If anybody else has any questions or they just like to talk about KioTouch or KioWare, please stop by our booth here at Finovate. And you can also email us at a later date if you don't have any questions right now, but maybe think of some in the future at sales@KioWare.com.
That was KioWare demoing KioTouch. One of the staples of Finovate has always been we put our AV team through their paces and making sure we can show these new technologies in the best way possible, KioTouch. It was a really interesting one for us to film, as I'm sure you can imagine. And I give a lot of credit to them for the setup that they had in their own office. They put that up and we were able to film it. That is the only demo that you will see at Finovate Fall 2020 Digital that does not actually connect to a screen share device. Everything was taken with a video camera, which was pretty cool. It marks them out as a little bit different.